So let's start off one by one. Currency. Is it current? Now, finance majors and economics majors might know the word currency to mean different kinds of money.
Right.
But currency can also mean how recent is it?
Right. When we say is it current, we are referring to its currency.
That's right. So this gentleman in this photo here, if he were my computer consultant in 1983,
I'd think, wow, this guy really knows his stuff.
he'd probably be the perfect guy to call.
Sure.
But if in 2019 this was still his computer setup, then I would worry that he might not be the best person to call when I have a technical question.
Right.
Because currency, the first question to ask is, when was this information posted or published or shared?
Right.
And for a lot of types of knowledge, the most recent, the most current information is the best.
Yeah.
What are some areas where the most current is the best, Barney?
I think some of the obvious ones, like you said, marketing and finance, also dealing with IT, technology.
Yeah. Areas that move really fast are definitely areas where currency matters.
But it's not limited to just those. Also, history, right? If you were to read a fact about the USSR, right, the Soviet Union, well, that's not necessarily pertinent to our situation now. Right now we have Russia and all the different republics.
That's right. Things change really fast in the world sometimes. So political commentary that accurately reflected the world in 2008 might not accurately reflect the world in 2020. The same is true of most areas of science, quick-moving areas like information technology, and also medicine.
What would be some areas where maybe it's not as important?
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, goody.
Has it been updated? If you have a book that was published in 2010 and the second edition was published in 2017,
Right.
then it's been updated with newer information. On a website, do the links still work is a useful question because it shows you if somebody is still taking care of this website. If the links are all dead, that shows that people are no longer taking care of this website, which also means they're probably not updating the information on that website.
Right.
Is it a topic where it's important to have the newest information?
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, there are some areas where the newest information is crucial and some areas where it's not quite as crucial.
Right. Yeah, something like how to do an exercise, how to play a musical instrument, or even things like the history of Rome. Opinions might change a little over time, but the facts probably remain more or less the same.
Yeah, areas like humanities, philosophy, areas, for example, discussing art.
Right.
It might be that the best analysis of Shakespeare was written in the year 1860. Although sometimes newer theories change the way we think. So even for areas like philosophy, where it might seem like reading a 2,000-year-old text is a perfectly great idea, sometimes things we've learned since then can update our understanding.
Right.
So even in areas that might be timeless in some ways, they can still be useful to check what people are saying about it these days as well.
Right.
Another way that currency can matter is when sources are close to the time of the event.
Ah, right. So, for example, if we were talking about perhaps a natural disaster, our source is close to the time of the event, useful for this topic? Well, sure. If we had somebody's account of an incident that took place, their opinion is more likely to be relevant than perhaps somebody who wrote about it or reported about it long after.
Yes. Now, sometimes somebody reporting long after has access to material that a person in that time and place can't access, but there are also ways that time and place material can teach us things that we couldn't see in another way. One good example of a case where it's better to have sources that are close to the time of the event are the kinds of events that have become politically controversial today. For example, a number of events that happened during the time of Korea's dictatorships, like the Gwangju democracy protests. People on one side politically tell that story very differently than people on the other side politically. So when there's that kind of confusion about which story is correct, it might be better to go back to records from 1980, letters written by students or notes taken by journalists who were eyewitnesses, or communications between military and public officials, which are part of official records from that time, which are pure, which have not been affected by the political maneuvering that we see in records about that time produced today. Things like newspaper articles close to the time of an event sometimes give you a look at that event that teaches you things that things written later on can't give us.
Right.
And that's currency.